Hi, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. So my name's Chris Wellard. I'm both a partner with the Presto team and also a an operational excellence consultant. I've been running my own consultancy for about 18, 19 years now. And I've been doing a lot of work recently in the space of strategy deployment, Hoshin Kanri, um, for quite a lot of my recent clients in various industries, both in the UK and across Europe as well. So I thought I'd give you an overview of some of the things that I share with my clients when we're doing a strategy deployment before we get into looking at sort of the Presto software and how that works. And the deployments that I've done, I do use Presto. I share it with my clients that I'm working with, and we do build their strategies, their longer term and annual strategies, and we do build it into Presto and set up all the projects and the metrics and everything using the Presto system. I'll just share my screen. I'll take you through a few slides and just talk you through what I share with my clients, just to put a bit of context around it. And then I can take any questions, or I can hand you over to Andrew, and we'll go into the Presto demo. So hopefully I am sharing the right screen, he says. Being a bit of a Zoom virgin, but we think we're okay there. Right. So I always start off by adding some context around Hoshin Kanri, and I like sharing the McKinsey model. I think it's a nice way of framing why we should be doing strategy, that it's a key part of any organization, of any business, amongst the staff and the systems and the structure and the skills and so on. So it's a fundamental part of getting a business structured in the correct way. So I always like to talk that through with clients. And then I also share the strategic triangle, if you like. There's many different versions of this, but again, it quite nicely frames how we go from vision, mission. We put things into key success areas or key success factors. We have some strategic longer term 3 to 5 year objectives, some annual objectives, and they are delivered by initiatives and underneath that projects. We measure success by using key performance indicators, and everything we do is underpinned by the values that we hold as an organization. So quite a well-known diagram, but again, it just frames how that sits together. And then on the next slide, then I then break it down a little bit further, just to get across the concept of underneath the vision, there are strategic objectives and annual objectives. If we're going to deliver those successfully, there will be some initiatives, and underneath those, or part of those initiatives, will be one or many projects. And quite often the initiatives part gets missed. People think we could just throw in 1 or 2 projects and away we go. Initiatives, you can call it a program of works if you like, but it's a way of grouping the initiatives into the right areas to ensure that the objectives are delivered in the right way. So again, just trying to explain how it all fits together when we're building the strategy for each of the organizations. This is probably one of the most important diagrams that I talk through. And what I'm trying to do is get across why strategy deployment often fails and why Hoshin Kanri is so important. And on the right hand side there, you can see that somebody at the top, the executives, set a vision or set a direction of travel. The leadership team at number 2 there will translate that and go, well, okay, yeah, we think we know what you want, boss. They'll measure it at number 6 and go back to the boss and say, boss, it didn't work, we didn't get anywhere. Because nobody informs the front line, and more importantly, nobody involves the front line in the setting of the strategy. So the diagram on the left shows that break is now gone. We use Hoshin, we engage the frontline teams. Hoshin uses a process called Catchball, but we bring those into not just the delivery and being told what to do, but in the setting of the objectives in the first place, and challenging and understanding what the objectives mean. From the point of view of setting the objectives, I like to use the balanced scorecard framework. It's a process that works for me and it works for my clients. It's a very structured process. And the blue boxes on there are just from experience and research and what I've done over the years, but they're great conversation prompts. So if we're looking at the bottom layer there, the learning and growth perspective, there should be some objectives around human capital or people. There should be some objectives around information, data systems, and so on. And there should be some objectives potentially around culture, leadership behaviors. So I use that as a way of prompting conversation when we're doing the brainstorming of getting the objectives. I like to the balanced scorecard from bottom to top. Like I say, it's quite a well known framework. It's used for setting KPIs and building KPI frameworks, but it equally works as well when we're doing the objective setting. And I think the boxes up the right hand side really quickly explain why it works so well. If we start at the bottom, if you've got a motivated and prepared workforce and you have efficient and effective processes, you have happy customers and you have happy shareholders. In a nutshell, sort of describes what the framework does and how it's set up. So going into the Hoshin Kanri process then. So this, if you Google Hoshin Kanri strategic deployment, you'll see this diagram or versions of this diagram. It'll appear quite quickly in your search. Basically, the Hoshin is split into two parts. The first part of it is the planning, and then the second part is the execution. So, and this is where the planning, where the catchball process gets spoken about in that. When you're taking the vision and then cascading it down to 3 and 5 year objectives, annual objective.
Hey, Chris, did we lose you?
Have you lost me? Or am I still here?
Now you're back. Hey, Chris,
Apologies, must have been a Wi-Fi drop off. Sorry.
Chris, would you mind making your slides presentation mode?
Was that?
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, apologies. So, yeah, so the catchball piece is the important piece of this, and I use this diagram, and again, this was available on. I first found this online many years ago. But what it's describing really is at number one here in the top left. This is the first session that you have with the senior leadership team, the exec leadership team, or whatever it might be. The input, you may have done some sort of market research, you may have done some SWOT analysis, you may have done some industry sort of scanning, but then once you have that information, you start thinking about, okay, so how are we going to take our vision and build it into objectives? The important bit, though, is that you then drop down to number two, and each member of that exec leadership or senior leadership team then goes and has the same conversation with their team. So they sit down. So, HR, finance, commercial, operations will give their team the chance to understand what the wider exec team is thinking, but also to be able to challenge, maybe identify areas that haven't been considered, have a conversation about how they as a team might be able to help deliver those objectives, and so on. That then feeds back up into number three. It goes back to the top team again. Here's what all of our teams said. Our teams, we should include this objective, and that one's not realistic. Here's how our teams think that we could do this. Here's some priorities that our teams believe are the right way. Second review by the SLT, back down to the teams again. Here's the final answer, guys. Now let's have a look at how we're going to deliver it. Let's look at the initiatives. Let's develop the projects. Let's write the project charters. Let's develop the milestones for delivery. And then number five there might be December the 31st, might be March the 31st. You've got your plan ready and you're ready to start delivery. The second part then of the Hoshin process is, bear with me, my slides are frozen. Here we go. Second part then is talking about the execution. Now, I would guess that probably 70–80% of businesses around the world are fantastic at creating a strategic plan. And they might do it in a slide pack. They might give you a really nice, shiny printed PDF, but quite a lot of those will fail to deliver that plan. The execution bit is the part that gets missed out time and time again. I always promote the use of plan, do, check, act. put 4 milestones to your projects, plan it, deliver it, did it work, roll it out wider, celebrate success, lessons learned in the act phase. And that's really, it's the really important bit that just doesn't get done. So Hoshin again says you use PDCA, you implement the annual objectives, you have monthly reviews of progress. Are we delivering the milestones? Are we getting the impact in the KPIs we expected? And at the very least, you then do an annual review. You could also add in there, actually, you might even make that sooner and do quarterly reviews and tie it into your finance quarterly reviews, that kind of thing, if you wanted to, if you're a large enough organization. And this diagram here really is the reverse of the other one, but it comes in at number 5. You got your strategy. It goes out to the teams at number 6. You start delivery at number 7. First month, end of the first month. Did we get what we expected? Were the milestones delivered? Have we completed the planning phase? Whatever it might be, and so on, month by month, as a bare minimum, at least once a month, you review the progress of the project. The output of all of this then can be demonstrated and shown in an X matrix. Now, some of you may have seen this, some of you may not have seen this. This is a diagram that aims to show you on one page the strategy for an organization and how it all fits together. So if you look at the south wing of the organization in the blue, this may be where you might have your 3, 4, or 5 longer term objectives. And then if you go to the west, this will be the annual objectives that feed into those 3 to 5 year objectives. So for an example, you might want to achieve 100 million turnover by 2029. This year, that may be 80 million pound by the end of 2025. So it's the sort of the annual part of that longer term objective. And what you do with the X matrix is where the objectives link, you put a marker in the box here in this bottom left hand corner, so you can see how the annual objectives link to the 3 to 5 year objectives. Similarly, then, if you go then to the north wing, these are the initiatives that deliver the projects. So if there is something about increasing revenue, there may be an initiative for the commercial team to go and do some more selling. There might be an initiative for the development team to go and develop some more things to sell in the first place, and so on. And the same criteria, top left-hand box, you'll see which initiative links to which objective. Over to the right on the east wing in the reddy browny colour, this is where you see the KPIs or the measurements of success. So this is where we know where we want to improve, and this helps us understand whether we've achieved the objective. And out to the far east, then this would be the name of the initiative lead. So you can see who owns the initiative that delivers the annual project, that delivers the objective. Sorry, that delivers the long-term objective. The other thing then to consider, so one of my clients at the moment is a large pharma organization in Europe, many sites across many European countries. So we have to then consider how you cascade what is wanted at the top level of the organization down to the next layer, so down to maybe the sites or departments or so on. And the theoretical side of it says that when you cascade the X matrix, you rotate it 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So this diagram here shows that. On the smaller diagram here, what were the group annual objectives on the west wing now become the next tier down objectives on the south wing. And then the challenge for that site, as an example, is to develop their own annual objectives that link to what has been cascaded down on the south wing to the site. So that's the process in a nutshell. The process is, it's been very successful. Got many sort of happy clients with the way that it works. But the key part of that key success has been around how once we've taken the outputs from this exercise, and not only do we have an X matrix, but we have the name of the initiative and the lead, we have the name of the project, we have the PDCA milestones for each of those projects, And in the do phase, we thoroughly understand what are the 4, 5, 10, 20 things that form the deliverables of the do phase of the project. And we know the metric to measure success. And we have a system to manage that and govern that on a month, at least a monthly basis. How do we look at it really simply at the end of the month and go, okay, what's happened with our Hoshin this month? Did we deliver the 10 milestones we should have delivered? Has that metric needle moved like it should have done? And that's where Presto comes in. That's where Presto comes in. And what Andrew will show you now, it enables you to have that level of governance and drive it and see how it all links together. So before I hand back to Andrew, has anybody got any questions on any of that at all? Please feel free to unmute yourselves and ask if you want to, or if not, we'll go into the Presto demo and let you see how Presto translate what I've just been talking about.